Good evening, dear listeners. Welcome to the premiere spine-tingling episode of Eerie Echoes with Miss B. I'm your host, Miss B, and on today's show, we're going to delve into the shadows of history and the whispers of the past in the ghost town of Barclay, Pennsylvania. But first, let me tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. I have been fascinated by the paranormal my entire life, and as luck would have it, my very good friend and show's producer, Diego Paul, just happened to have the same fascination their entire life as well. Late last year, we got to talking about the idea of a podcast that would delve into these fascinating subjects, and so Eerie Echoes with Miss B was born. We've spent the last few months doing countless hours of research and investigations on subjects that intrigued and inspired us. And for the rest of season 1, we're very excited to share them with you. If you're excited about these subjects too, then get on the horn and tell all your friends about our show. Make sure you subscribe to our social media channels, and of course, hit like or subscribe on our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you really love our show, leave us a review. That's how we get more and more popular and can bring even more interesting subjects to you. So that all being said, deep in the wooded mountainside of long since abandoned Barclay, Pennsylvania, lies a haunted cemetery with a fascinating history and a rather uneasy present. Are you ready to experience haunted Barclay Cemetery? Here we go.
Eerie Echoes with Miss B. Haunted Barclay Cemetery. Nestled deep within Bradford County and among the endless mountains of Appalachia, Barclay is a place where time stands still, and the echoes of yesteryears linger in the air, resonating through its well-worn roads and silent cemetery. Barclay's story begins in the mid-19th century. The township of Barclay was formed from Franklin in 1867, situated between Franklin on the north, Monroe and Overton on the east, Leroy on the west, and separated from Overton on the south by Schrader Creek. The town was named in honor of Robert Barclay of London, England, who in 1794 purchased a vast expanse of land, 21,000 acres, lying on what we now know as Barclay Mountain. Picture it, a thriving community in the heart of Pennsylvania, bustling with miners and their families. Barclay was built on coal, the black gold of the industrial age, but not just any coal, anthracite coal, the purest and longest burning of all coal. But as abundant as anthracite was here in the mountainous countryside of Pennsylvania, the coal veins in Barclay dried up, and so did the town's lifeblood, leading to its eventual abandonment. Today, Barclay stands as a ghost town, its once vibrant streets now eerily consumed by the nature that grows in its place. But if you listen closely, you might hear the faint echoes of a bygone era.
We're in the ghost town of Barclay, Pennsylvania, at the reportedly haunted Barclay Cemetery. Hidden among the overgrown foliage and the crumbling gravestones lies the resting place of many of Barclay's former residents, and some new ones, so we're told. As you draw near the cemetery, an imposing gateway stands sentinel, adorned with the name of this consecrated ground. Upon crossing the threshold, you're immediately struck by the expansive sprawl of this sepulchral domain, now somewhat reclaimed by nature and almost forgotten by time. The encroaching vegetation and the weathered tombstones, while softened by nature's touch, serve as a poignant reminder of the circle of life. The cemetery, which is visibly cared for, embodies a harmonious coexistence between humanity's final resting place and the inevitable advance of nature. The intertwining of greenery and stone illustrates the passage of time, where life continues to flourish even in the presence of death, creating a serene and contemplative atmosphere. Yet beneath this veneer of tranquility, the cemetery harbors a shadowed history tainted by unsettling events. Tales of grave robbing haunt its past, adding an eerie layer of unease to the atmosphere. More disturbingly, the echoes of a long-forgotten murder linger in the air, along with the lost lives of so many young people and so many children, casting a pall over the silent graves. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying with it the secrets of those who rest here, and you cannot help but feel a shiver of trepidation as you walk among the dead. The peace here is forever marred by the dark deeds that have also transpired within its confines. Many visitors have reported the eerie sensation of human footsteps echoing around them when no one else is there. It's here that people claim to hear tunes being whistled in the night with no visible source. There are also numerous reports of seeing phantom women dressed in long white gowns gliding among the trees, and the unsettling sound of children's laughter breaking the silence. Longtime friend and Barclay mountain hunter Greg T. joins me to discuss his experiences in his many years spent up here on Barclay Mountain. Today on Eerie Echoes with Miss B, we are with
Greg Taylor. Heard about Barclay when I was younger, and of course when we were teenagers it was a big thrill to come up and, you know, go to the graveyard and see if anything happens.
Right.
Over the years, yes, things have happened. After being here and being up on, you know, Barclay Mountain, started to dig into the history a little bit and learned a lot more about Barclay and what happened here. Yeah, you used to be able to drive all the way back here.
So, about how far down were you when this happened?
So we were about halfway down. It was a similar day to this. It was probably in late May though, right around the same time. And I'm gonna say it's up here maybe another 30 yards. We were walking. It was a very warm day, probably in the mid to high 80s.
Oh, okay.
Very humid, and we hit a wall of coldness. And it remained cold all the way back to the cemetery. So what we did was we actually marked with a big rock where that cold wall was so that we could see if it warmed up on the way back through. My nephew was out here. He was like, "Uncle Greg, come feel this." Of course, me and the kids ran up and he was like, "It's cold on this side, it's warm on this side." So we decided, you know what, let's mark it, walk back to the cemetery and see if it gets warm again when we cross that line. And it was almost like you were walking into another realm.
Oh, wow.
So we marked it, went back to the cemetery. After about 20 minutes of walking around the graveyard, it was just like a swarm of mosquitoes. Like they didn't want us there anymore.
Oh, wow.
So we decided to come on back out. And sure enough, right where we had it marked, it got warm again. It was a legit 15 to 20 degree drop. So it was pretty intense.
So you had your littles with you, right?
Yes.
How did they react to that?
They knew nothing about Barclay Cemetery. They were scared.
But they could also say, yeah, it's...
Oh, they felt the coldness. We stayed here and, you know, surveyed the area for probably 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness. The foundation for what I think is the chapel is
Down
up there in
Yep.
those trees.
Yep.
While filming, the camera display glitched and flipped horizontally. Although the camera has a mirror mode, you must stop recording to activate it. Reviewing the footage later, nothing was actually flipped on the footage, only while we were filming. But there were some glitches.
So, my camera's flipped.
What do you mean?
It's backwards.
So it's focusing on you?
No. It's flipped the image horizontally.
Wow.
Okay.
So you're on the opposite side of Bridget, as you can tell.
Still flipped?
Nope, I
No.
haven't flipped it.
We'll see what happens next. My nephew was probably 14 at the time.
Right.
He wanted to show me this one gravestone where him and his buddies came up one time with their dog, a beagle pup, and they were walking around the graveyard. The puppy was normal, and all of a sudden keyed in on one gravestone and started backing up. You could literally see the hair on the dog's back come up.
Wow.
And it was almost like a defensive yelp. And it was backing up. So they ended up getting out of there, by the way. I think that tombstone is up here.
At this point, a very visibly affected Greg spotted the gravestone of the woman that his nephew and friends had experienced an undeniable eerie moment with earlier.
Agnes.
Oh, the one standing in the back there? You okay?
Yep. Agnes is the wife of John Kirkwood. March 2nd, 1880. Years ago, before they started taking care of it, there were, of course right here you can see it's sunken in, but there were places where you could actually see parts of the coffins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the wooden coffins, and very, very eerie.
What's that, 6 years?
6 years.
11 months.
And 5 days.
And 5 days. Son of Robert and Ann Kellogg.
1876. Just amazing to think, you know, I can't imagine living in a town where all of a sudden all the kids are passing away. I mean, this place was a very busy place for a long time with funerals. So there's definitely a lot of energy here. Myrtle died on February 21st, 1826. 1876. And Clara died on February 26, 1876. So 2 of their kids died within 5 days. So there's a ton of stories that you hear living in the area about Barclay Mountain. People have seen coal miners walking along the roads at night, to kids, you know, playing in the forest behind or around, you know, hearing the noises. It's almost like the kids know you're here and they're messing with you. For instance, you know, what happened with the camera earlier, and it's almost like they play little tricks on you when you're in the graveyard. But I imagine they see lots of visitors here. One of the stories that I've heard from somebody that I went to college with, him and a bunch of buddies came here. They did see a little girl in a dress. It wasn't just him, it was multiple people who saw it and then just disappeared.
Oh, wow.
So back in the day, it was unkept, and there were coffins sticking up out of the ground a little bit.
Oh, my goodness.
Sunken in graves. And of course, people would come up here and party, and there's story after story after story. Anybody you talk to in this area probably has a story about Barclay Mountain.
Right.
It's just a rich history of hard work, and then a tragic history of death, basically.
Barclay's mysteries don't end there. In the ghost town itself, the past seems to refuse to stay buried. Walking through its deserted landscape, you can almost hear the rustlings of the past. The remains of old structures and homes now completely gone. Only the cemetery remains as a silent witness to the time when the town was alive with activity. One of the most unsettling phenomenon that's been reported in many of the investigations is the sound of pickaxes hitting the ground. Though no miners have worked in Barclay for over 100 years, the unmistakable clang of metal against earth reportedly can still be heard, sending chills down the spine of anyone who hears it. In addition to these spectral claims, sounds like people talking. At this point, during the shoot, things really started to get weird. We heard the sound of voices as if people were talking, and the sound of trains. Though people weren't around us for miles, and the train hadn't run through here in over 100 years.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm ready to be done.
Okay.
Come on, guys. Just let me get through this, and I promise I'll leave you alone. Look at the red flowers back there. I haven't seen them anyplace else.
Nope, just right there.
Okay. In addition to the spectral sightings, Barclay Mountain has another eerie claim to fame: Bigfoot sightings. What was that? Seriously, what was that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we finish up soon?
Yeah.
In addition to these spectral sightings, Barclay has another eerie claim to fame: reports of Bigfoot sightings. Over the years, some visitors and locals have reported seeing a large hairy creature wandering the dense woods around Barclay. The wild man of the woods, often described as standing over 7 feet tall, with thick, dark, and coarse hair, has been seen moving swiftly through the trees and landscapes, leaving behind both a sense of wonder and unease.
It's definitely a unique place. You get a unique feeling when you're here.
Yes, you do.
There were times when I would come up hunting by myself, quarter of a mile, half a mile back into the woods on a trail, and you'd feel like you're being watched the whole time.
Oh, wow.
You just had that sense that somebody was watching you. But I could hear something. I thought it was a deer, like walking, but I couldn't see anything. And it was like we're talking 10 feet from me. All of a sudden, I just really got an eerie feeling. The whole time, I felt like somebody was watching me. So I decided to leave. And the whole way out, I just had chills. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting place. I don't recommend coming out here by yourself.
What was it that Greg T saw? And if there wasn't a height discrepancy, could it be another Appalachian area legend, the Albatwitch? Why does Barclay seem to hold on to its past so fiercely? Perhaps it's a tragic end that met so many of its inhabitants. Or maybe it's the land itself, steeped in history and memory. Whatever the reason, Barclay remains a place where the veil between the living and the dead is whisper thin, reminding us that the past is never truly gone.
Welcome to the news. In the news recently, in these here parts, there was several UFO sightings that left people curious and excited. According to Enigma, the #1 mobile app for UFO sighting stories and real-time alerts, Pennsylvania and Central Appalachia rank usually in the top 5 of the most commonly reported UFO sightings, or UAP, as kids love to call them these days. Here are some that are very interesting. UFO sighting reported in Ringtown, Pennsylvania. On May 29, 2024, at approximately 12:20 p.m. Eastern Time, a licensed pilot with 15 years of experience reported a UFO sighting in Ringtown, Pennsylvania. While on his lunch break at Geldwin, a window company, the pilot and 2 co-workers observed a small, dark orb hanging motionless in the sky, despite strong winds. The object, approximately 1,000 to 1,200 feet up, showed no movement or size change. After a brief observation, the object suddenly descended rapidly and moved away diagonally, exhibiting a speed greater than any commercial drone available at this time. This sighting has prompted further investigation into the unexplained phenomena. Check out his actual report on the Enigma app, Enigma UFO sighting number 293959. UFO sighting reported in Columbia, Pennsylvania. On June 16, 2024, at approximately 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time, a witness in Columbia, Pennsylvania, observed a bright orb of warm yellow-red light shining through the trees. The light moved closer, then further away, before disappearing to the right, seemingly turning around. The sighting, which lasted about 30 minutes, occurred under clear skies with no correlating flight activity in the area. The location was near a large farm, and the unusual light's behavior remains unexplained. Check out their actual report on the Enigma app, Enigma UFO sighting number 294689. Here's another interesting one. UFO sighting reported in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. On February 6, 2024, at approximately 3:40 a.m. Eastern Time, a resident near Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, reported observing mysterious lights in the sky. The witness, accompanied briefly by his girlfriend, saw multiple lights dropping and then ascending in a northeast direction. The lights started dim, became bright as they fell, and then slowly took off. This unexplained phenomenon lasted for about 10 minutes and was visible to 2 witnesses. Check out their report on the Enigma app, Enigma UFO sighting number 288275. This one is something else. UFO sighting reported in Altoona, Pennsylvania. On March 14, 2024, at approximately 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time, a witness in Wenwood, Altoona, Pennsylvania, reported seeing a mysterious light while photographing lightning during a rainstorm. The sighting lasted about 3 minutes. The witness captured the event using an iPhone Pro Max 15 and noted the light's unusual presence amidst the stormy weather. This unexplained phenomenon adds to the growing list of UFO sightings in this region. Check out their report on the Enigma app, Enigma UFO sighting number 290150. And finally, UFO sighting reported in Mercer, Pennsylvania. On June 8, 2024, at approximately 4:36 a.m. Eastern Time, a driver in Mercer, Pennsylvania observed red, green, and blue lights forming an oval shape while driving on Route 62. The lights spun slowly and then disappeared as the witness passed a tree. Despite attempting to record the event, the light vanished suddenly. This sighting, lasting almost 3 minutes, adds to the intriguing reports of unidentified aerial phenomena in the area. Check out the report on the Enigma app, Enigma UFO sighting number 294309. If you want to check out some of these kinds of reports on your own, make sure to go to our website and click the link for the Enigma app, available exclusively at the moment just for iOS devices. Sorry, Android and BlackBerry users, you know who you are. Our website is eerieechoesshow.com. And now, back to the fabulous Miss B.
My loves, thank you so much for joining us on this, our premiere episode of Eerie Echoes with Miss B. We hope you enjoyed our journey into the mysterious and the unknown as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. If you found today's stories intriguing, subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts on any eerie, paranormal, or otherworldly experiences you might have. Just leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. You can also follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more spooky tales. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and more at Eerie Echoes Show. If you have a story you'd like to share or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at fanmail@eerieechoesshow. We'd love to hear from you. Our website is eerieechoesshow.com. A very special thanks to Sam for your insight and cultural sensitivity, and to our first interviewee, Greg Taylor, for his wonderful look into the current existence of Barclay Mountain and its cemetery. And of course, to the current residents of Barclay Cemetery for sharing their beautiful and inspiring place with us. Also, if you're interested in the t-shirt Miss B was wearing in this episode, it is from Williamsport's very own Uptown Music Collective from their show, It Came From the 80s. Until next time, stay curious, stay spooky, and remember to always keep one eye open. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows.
Eerie Echoes with Miss B is a BAM Studios production. Hosted and co-produced by Bridget Callahan, aka Miss B. Narration by Diego Paul. Researched and written by Miss B and Diego Paul for Eerie Echoes. Produced, edited, mixed, and mastered by BAM Studios. Theme song composed and performed by Diego Paul. Distributed by BAM Studios Podcast Network.